Hi everyone, Mike McConville here again, Stratford, Ontario, Canada. We're back to this Dreadnought guitar. Long before the idea of guitar shop supply or anything, people had to kind of make it up as they go. And this is a jig I've been using for the last 30 years. Have a look at this, see if you recognize anything. I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, so this is the mechanism for an under-the-table keyboard support. It pulls out from under the desk. Those things are long gone, but the mechanism was quite useful. This is one of those jigs that it's easier to show you as I take the guitar out of the jig. So we'll pull in tight and let you have a look at this as I pull the guitar out of the fixture. So this is how I set up to router out the end splice in the tail block of the guitar. The reason you do a wedge-shaped piece is because as you push that into place, it self-tightens. I will scrape that flush when it dries, and then I'll run it across the cutter again. Then we'll be ready to put our binding on. Okay, I'm just outside my workshop door. Here's the one router table that cuts the binding ledge. That's my second router table. That cut the ledge for the purfling. We've cut our ledge for the purfling, and we've cut our ledge for the binding. So what I have here is a piece of the actual binding. The router bearing follows that, perfectly dead flush, exactly the right depth. So the purfling will go on first, that's done with hide glue, and then we'll follow up with the binding. Well, before I put this jig away, I'm going to point out a couple of things. Our proverbial hockey pucks are there. And the idea there is we've got 3 points of contact. A three-legged stool doesn't wobble. So these are the same thickness. And this actually allows me to sort of strap it down firmly with the rubber bands, but not firmly enough to crush anything. And these kind of flip up suction cups. And these heavy rubber bands, that does the job. You know, over the years at the college, I've had a lot of engineers and millwrights and machinists and aerospace engineers. And Dan, one of my students, a very talented engineer, actually, his gig right now is he's designing drive systems for electric vehicles. Very innovative guy by nature, and he had a you know, in typical engineering fashion, a $1,200 vertical bearing system. His intention was to use this in the acoustic guitar build class to cut the binding ledge where it holds the body perfectly stable, and you know, you put the whole guitar in this carriage and level it out. Well, you know something? Him and all the rest of the students, they ended up just using my little router table setup. 3 points of contact, 2 felt washers, wood, give it a spin. Again, kind of low-tech solution to a high-tech problem. Plastic doesn't stick to hide glue. This binding was really just used during the gluing process for the purfling to hold it up tight, and then I kind of pushed it down as I went to get a perfect glue joint on the underside of the purfling and then into the edge of the soundboard. So now this just comes off. Very big on keeping it simple. Now we'll clean up that ledge just like we cleaned up this ledge. And on the top, of course, the plastic binding will adhere to the purfling and the rosewood ledge, and that'll sort of complete our detail on the top. I'm just about to close in that purfling ledge, but before I do, I wanted to give you kind of a close look at the tolerances that we've got. I used a razor blade to square it up, clean it up, and scrape off the excess hide glue before we get ready to put the plastic binding on. This is sort of what we're after, right? This is the sort of view from above. We've got the black, white, black purfling, and then the ivory strip on the outside. And the idea is, we're echoing that black, white, black around the herringbone rosette. So that's the idea here. We're keeping it really simple. Purfling around the top. The back will be bound just with the ivory strip. Okay, here's another binding tip. So there's 3 pieces of binding that go on first. So the purfling is done, and now we're ready to put the plastic binding on. So we start at the center of the tail block splice, and we make sure that we get these 2 pieces nice and tight. On the top, you have a little bit more luxury to play around because you can leave overhang at the dovetail. So that gives you lots of forgiveness to concentrate on getting a perfect fit at the tail block. So the back strip also starts at the center of the tail splice, but we only put 1 piece on. We glue that piece on, and I let that set overnight. We come back the next day, we do a perfect dry run all the way around, and then we glue that last piece of binding on. We are completely through the danger zone now. The ivory binding is around the back and the top, so the guitar is completely sealed up now. The female dovetail cut in the block is already done. We've got that herringbone rosette, very understated, and then we've got matching detail. The purfling around the top is sort of black, white, black to line up with that herringbone trim. It's just about final sanded. I do wipe the rosewood down with naphtha. Anything that we might have missed, the naphtha kind of lights that up for me. And then we'll be into grain filling, the back and side. It's through the danger zone. Big sigh of relief because, well, for the American subscribers, it's 103.8 or something today with the Humidex, which translates into 41 centigrade for the European and Canadian viewers. Suffice it to say, it's hot. And it's not only hot, it's humid. And that's why I'm so relieved to get this whole body glued up completely. I've been doing a balancing act between the drying room and the attic and then waiting for the odd little run of 2 dry days here to be able to sort of glue this up and get it sealed. And we've managed to accomplish that. We'll keep you posted on this one as we move along.